Alright, welcome back to the Fantasy Tippler. We are still playing fantasy football. We are not 0-5 anymore. We're still doing good. My dog is still trying to walk under the table when I'm recording. Sorry, sweetheart. But yeah, week 7, here we go. One of the leagues that I'm on the bottom at, well, not anymore after this week, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but I got the shittiest trades from these guys. And like I wrote it down so I could talk about it with you. And I know the reason why. Because he's at the top and I'm on the bottom, so you thought I should be willing to give away all of my goodie points for basically nothing. Here's what he sent me. Christian McCaffrey, who's obviously on my AR and will be on there until playoff. For Damian Harris, Kenny Galladay, and Jarvis Landry. Go fuck yourself. And the same guy sent me a trade offer for Ridley, for Jacoby Myers, and Hunter Henry. And it's like, no, buddy, no. I would, if you're on the bottom, you do need to make some aggressive moves to take advantage of the people you have, so you can get like a fightable team and like wiggle your wire into the playoffs. What I do almost every year to send in my league. But this was so fucking insulting. So I saw that he had like Patrick Mahomes, Dalvin Cook, Dale Henderson, who drafted really well. So I sent him an offer, all three of those, for my fucking kicker. And I was like, basically me saying, go fuck yourself. But then I felt so proud of myself. I was like, I'm teaching this guy a lesson. And then I didn't pay attention to who sent the trade. And I sent it to the wrong guy. I sent it to the wrong team. So the whole thing was watched, and I had to go apologize to somebody and tell them like the whole story on the really bad trade offer, doesn't know what he's doing. And what pissed me off, this guy's in second place in the league. Now I'm like determined to take him down. I don't know how I'm gonna do it from the bottom of the league, but we're gonna work hard and figure it out. All right, so let's get to lead update. The reason why I talk about my leagues because I'm in a diverse variety of them, and instead of just being like one of those guys that go on there telling you weekly rankings, I'm gonna tell you what I do and what I like, and we could actually see the results. So I'm gonna start telling you the name of the leagues and what platform they're on, so you can kind of see like how it migrate. Every single one of them are PPR, with the exception of one that had like a weird, they don't get as many points per yard per person, but don't worry about that. Alright, so I won a lot this week, excuse me. And I almost swept most of my leads except for, I believe, one. There's only one lead I didn't win, so I would have treated. If I swept all like 8 leads, I would have treated myself to something nice. All right, so let's get started on ESPN platform. The Bourbon League. You remember I told you about that before, where it's a really cool 24 league team with two 12-team leagues that your entry submission is a store pick of a bottle of bourbon. So I took down the number one guy. He was 0-5 going into it. I finally took him down. I took him down hard. And that was just thanks to, which is a lot of my leagues, the reason why I won, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp. I just knew Cooper Kupp was going to have a monster year this year. So took down number one. I'm sitting pretty in that league, but I am concerned about my playoff run. But don't worry about the playoff run until we get closer to it. So the next one, Pitkin lead. I had a solid win. I have a solid team, but I've got major running back issues where I'm like right in the middle of the pack. I'm in the top 5 for the Bourbon League. I'm in the middle of the pack, 3-3 for the Pigskin League. And the problem is, Deacon Chubb's questionable or out. I believe Sub's already out this week. So I'm nervous and I don't have good backup. The people on my backup are Gordon and I just picked up JD McKittrick, who I'll talk about later. So I'm nervous, but my wide receivers are solid. Going next, Yahoo. On the Yahoo platform, which is the original one that I got started on. Not my favorite, but they got the history, so we'll talk. We're probably going to have like a really decent episode in the off season about different platforms. If you are a commissioner and you're listening, I'm going to tell you about all the stuff that I go through. So, CBS league, bunch of guys from I used to work with over at CBS Radio and TV. I am 2-4. However, and I finally won this week, so I'm 2-4. Now, normally it would be kind of a panic situation for me, but if you look at the league, now it's only a 10-team league. I should mention that. 5 other teams are the exact same record as me, and my points per game are in like the top 3 of the 2 to 5 people, 2 to 4 winning people. So I've still got a good chance to get to the playoff. And remember, if you don't start 0-4, if you don't start 4-0, you should always fight, because the number of times I've won or made the payout was coming from behind and just making it into the playoff. And the playoffs are a different scenario. Things go wrong. I remember one year I got second place after starting 0-5. I got second place, and I went entirely through the playoff with my running back Frank Gore and Adrian Peterson. I kid you not. I got lucky the first round. Adrian Peterson actually had a good game, like the second round. And then Frank Gore was just consistently just giving me 10 points no matter what. It was crazy. It was the craziest playoff run. I got so much hate mail from that. But so always fight until you absolutely cannot make the waiver wire, and then still make it difficult for other people to make the waiver wire. For like the guy that loses 8 games and then beats the number 5 guys and the number 6 guy can jump in. I mean, I love that kind of stuff. So SMU, my alma mater, I co-manage the team, and I apologize to the other owner. Like, I drafted really, really bad in this league. It was one of the last drafts of the year. I think I had drafting fatigue. I made some crazy, wild moves, and this is an ultra competitive league. The guys listen to the podcast. These guys, they wake up early Wednesday morning, check the waiver wire, and they could believe that I lost this week because, we're 0-4 in this league too. And my starting running back this week, I think, are going to be A.J. Dillon and J.D. McKittrick. That's how bad that team is. However, I do have Josh Allen and Travis Kelce. The problem is I can't trade them away because no one trades in this league, which sounds weird, but these guys, I'm not going to give away for nothing, but I need something. And this was a little bit different because there's not a whole lot of people that are 2-4. There is a chance I could bump up to bottom 8 if I fight really hard. So I'm really worried about this year, and I profusely apologize to the other team manager for how bad I drafted. Nick is also a keeper lead, and we just haven't been picking the right keepers lately. So, and then next. So, still on Yahoo platform, I think it's my home league. It's called the Board Meeting League. I don't want to explain the story behind that, but there is a story. Thank you, Kevin Atkins. So, I'm in 5th place right now after having a horrendous 0-3 start. I'm on a 2-game winning streak, and I'm taking photos of this team because this team was drafted perfectly. I mean, perfectly. I really had to hit the waiver wire, although I picked up Cordell Patterson. He's been a great, flash start. I picked up Tim Patrick on the waiver wire as my kind of like my bench reliever. But everybody, like my starters are set. I don't really have any injuries except for David Montgomery, which what Cordell Patterson was replacing. But I also started Camille Herbert, and he did very well. And Antonio Gibson's the one person on that team I'm worried about. Tom Brady's my quarterback, and I'm doing perfect in that league. And you always have, it's the thing about having too many leads, you always have one lead where you over excel and then like you just tank the rest of them. So I'm very happy with that one. And I really want to win that one because that's my original lead that I'm the commissioner in. So, the personal pride. Next, Sleeper. Sleeper platform is one of my favorite fantasy football platforms, especially if you do big, deep leagues or you do Dynasty. So I'm in that big national tournament, the Megalo Bowl. They're sponsored by the Fantasy Football. So we talked about it before. And I won, but I'm still 4-2. And like that other league, there's not a lot of room to go. The teams that are at the top are beating me by a lot. But there is a fighting chance. However, here's the problem. You have to be in the first or second place by week 11 going into week 12 in order to move on in the tournament. There's like 10,000 people in this tournament. And I'm like number 8. There's a good degree of separation between me and even number 3. So, because I cannot lose. Going forward, I cannot lose at all. And that's scary. The good news is all the games that I lost by like somebody else having a monster game. I've been putting up on average 130 to 150 points per game, so my point total is still high, which is good. And then there are a couple bad plays I made. That's my own fault, and you're just gonna have to live with that. Dynasty. I'm really becoming a fan of this Dynasty League. I think it's the first one I've ever done. It's my second year doing it. And I was in a win now mode. And everybody's on bye this week. And everybody's freaking injured. It's ridiculous. I'm having to start the backup running back to the Tennessee Titans. Hopefully they'll rest Derrick Henry. That's how bad it is. And because it's a Dynasty League and has a taxi squad, you don't know what a taxi squad is. It's basically a rookie holding spot, almost like a practice squad, that you can put people who have less than a year and a half experience, and you just hold them, but you don't want to put them on the waiver wire. This is going to be really hard. There is a possible play, but like in the other league, the top 5 guys, almost identical to be. Now I think about it. Top 5 guys are putting up so much points that even if I fight my way close to the playoff, there's no way I'm going to because I'm putting up an average of 120 points per week, which is good. It's not good enough to win the in any PPR league. And these guys are putting up 150 to 170 a week. So I don't know what my strategy is going to be getting up there. My goal is just to get into a fighting position for the playoff like the other ones, and then we'll kind of figure out what the landscape looks like. And I've made this clear to a couple of people on the league. If I don't make the playoff this year, it's not going to be a fire sale. But come January, I'm going to crash this team into a rebuild. A moderate rebuild. I never believe these guys. Some guys are like just starting backup to backup because they want 36 different picks for next season. That's their rebuild. I don't really believe in that. It just makes it not fun. I'd rather be competitive, at least try to be competitive. And I have injury problems. And this week with the Buffalo Bills, I didn't realize how many Buffalo Bills I had on my team, and Chargers and Jacksonville. It's horrendous. Byron Pringle is going into my starting lineup. Let's just put that out there, okay? All right. So, moving along. Let me take a little sip of water, getting a little cotton now. So, waiver. I really like Derek Carr this week. I'm actually starting him in one of my lineup. Running back, go get J.D. McKittrick. If you listened last week, I told you to go get him, and he paid off. Paid off for me, helped me win. The situation with the Cleveland Browns was Hunt and Chubb being out. Everybody's running after Dearness Johnson. I prefer Demetric Felton, because of the potential receiving option that he had. And this is the guy I've been following since last year. And I think he's going to be Kareem Hunt's replacement at some point. So go grab him. If you really have to start him, I would. I am starting him in one of the leagues. Well, I'm trying to decide between him and AJ Dillon because I can't predict what he's going to do. So, wide receiver, Rashad Bateman, go grab him. I think something coming. It may pop this week, but it feels like the Ravens are being true to the word. They're starting to expand their passing attack to the point where when we talk about the Drunken DFS, I've got Hollywood Brown in one of my lineups. The guy who I was very, very high on his rookie year, and I think freaking burnt me so bad that I can't even stand to think about him. I'm actually putting him in my lineup this week. So, that and Rashad Bateman, I would just go grab him. If you're really desperate, you can start him. I feel comfortable starting him. I think he's going to put up about 11 points. He's going to continue to grow after that. I saw this in a couple of waiver wires. I went after him. Sterling Shepard, if he's on your waiver wire, go get him. That's a great bench wide receiver to come in an emergency. Him and Cole Beasley is just great, spot starts if you need them, injury. If you ask me if you have Allen Robinson, and this is actually true in one of my leagues. I have Allen Robinson, I have Sterling Shepard. Guess who I'm starting this week? Sterling Shepard. Allen Robinson, he's going to ride the bench until he shows me something. And it's not his fault. It's just he's on a bad team with a rookie quarterback that's not performing as well as we hoped. Robinson is. Oh man, I'm just so tempted to throw it out there because it would be the game that he just does something crazy stupid, catches 2 long bombs for a touchdown and another for like 40 yards, and all of a sudden he gets like 16 points. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, if that happened, I am flipping him so hard." Like I'm just waiting. With Allen Robinson, I'm just basically waiting for him to have a monster game so I can get a little bit of a haul for him before we go into the playoff. But I'm not starting him anywhere unless I'm truly, truly desperate. This week, I kind of am, but I'm not to that desperation point yet. It will be a Saturday call. I always like to set my lineup on Wednesday after waiver wire. And then on Saturday, just in case, I go out, because I'm a tippler. That's old English word for drunk. I have too many whiskeys. Wake up at 12:01, and I go, no! But I meant to change that personality, so I said it on Saturday, no matter what. And if it's a game, look, if you're a player that is game time, like you don't find out till Sunday morning, well, you better double set several alarms. So, defense this week for waiver wire Cardinals, they were like on a lot of waiver wire. I got them in like 4 leagues. That's a great matchup right there. Also, I like to. A lot of times, if I have the flexibility, I try to get like next week's potential, defensive start. It's just a kind of a trick that I have. Although it eats up bench space, so if you have less than 6, I don't recommend it. The Patriots defense, I like them against the Jets. I think they're gonna tear it up. And one league, I saw the Rams. I know the Rams haven't done anything fantasy-wise, but the matchup is juicy this week. Versus Detroit Lions. Jared Goff is a horrible quarterback. Everybody needs to admit it. So, I don't know. How risky are you feeling? Alright, bottom of the barrel waiver picks. That's the title of this segment. And I know I'm going to mispronounce his name, but TJ Usma. Please leave in the comments below if I mispronounced it. Tight end for the Cincinnati Bengals. I had to pick him up in one league because I had waiver wire problem and injury problem. So I'm starting him this week in one of my leagues. And then Jared Patterson, I was able to grab I had room to grab him in 2 leagues, and he's somebody that I've been kind of watching, but he's basically the backup for J.D. McKittrick if there's anything wrong with Antonio Gibson, which after watching the last game and the reports that I'm seeing, I get the weirdest feeling that they're going to rest Antonio Gibson this week. And if they do, Derek Patterson could carve out something. Not saying to start him, I'm just saying pick him up. Running back, they don't have a great shelf life. So, especially if you're in Dynasty, go grab him. Alright, so let's wrap it up with Drunken DFS. Before we get into this, hopefully we're going to have some sponsors and a website opening up soon. And as you can see, I still have a crappy studio that I'm recording on, but we've got new recording equipment and video equipment coming in. Hopefully these will start getting better. Alright, Drunken DFL. So we've got 2 lineups that I do every week, and this one is mainly for DraftKings, and the other is mainly for FanDuel and Yahoo. And you have other ones you kind of vary. But here's the lineup that I feel like has the most potential. And a couple of the other ones last week won. I was in a $50,000 payout lead and I won $5. It was free, so alright, Stafford. I'm all about that Stafford Cooper Cup pick. But this week, because they're playing Detroit Lions, I don't think they'll go for the deep passes as much. I think it'll be a run heavy game. So I'm going Stafford Henderson for the stack. And then Tubas Hubbard for the running back for Panthers. And then Darnell Mooney, who I think is going to he should keep getting look, and he seems to have a good connection. And they're going to have to air out the ball in this game versus Tampa. Second, it's Calvin Ridley. He's coming back after skipping the last trip with a personal problem, and I think he's looking to come back hard. And then Sterling Shepard, who I talked about earlier. I feel like he's a great safe pick at a very, very affordable price. My tight end is going to be Tyler Higbee. My flex shot is Hollywood Brown. Remember I was telling you about it. He's going to be heavily utilized in the upcoming game, and I think he's going to get a lot of points. And then this leaves enough meat on the bone to go grab the Cardinal for your defense. Did I let you DraftKings lineup one? Let's review it one more time. Stafford, Henderson, Hubbard, Mooney, Riley, Shepard, Higbee, Hollywood Brown, and the defense is the Cardinal. All right, line number 2. Now this is the one that's a little bit like crazy, where you go heavy on some of the good guys and go try to find some bargain basements down. So I'm going Brady as my quarterback, and I'm getting Derek Henderson. I can't believe I mispronounced that. Derek Henry. Sorry about that. Derek Henry, the King Henry. I was on a text chain with a couple of people, and I was like, why in the world are we not taking Derek Henry as number 1? I remember last year the reason why it's like the statistic of someone being this successful consistently is non-existent. But next year, I don't think I've ever had, if I'm on a national tournament and I get the number 1 and number 2 pick, it's gonna be Derek Henry. It's just insane. The guy scored 3 touchdowns to get the Buffalo Bills defense. He's one of the best defense in the country right now. So Tom Brady, Derek Henry, and then Cordell Patterson is my RB2. I'm stacking Godwin with Tom Brady. TJ Higgins, I think he's going to have a decent game with Joe Burrow continue to improve every week. And then my Hail Mary is AJ Green. I kind of think that they're not going to really utilize Hopkins. They're going to kind of just use AJ Green for a couple long deep passes to get ahead, and then he'll hobble into the end zone. My tight end is Ricky Steele-Jones. Remember what I said in the waiver wire? If he's available, go get him. And then my flex is J.D. McKittrick. I'm pretty sure Antonio Gibson is going to be not utilized if he plays. If he doesn't, it's J.D. McKittrick all day. And then that leaves that leaves enough money to go grab the LA Rams. Now I know they've been absolutely horrible for fantasy, even though they're supposed to be a good defense. But against the Detroit Lions, this is their time to shine. This is their time to get interceptions. This is their time to get sacks, and this is their time to return a pick six. So LA Rams are kind of middle of the pack, but still good value. And that'll wrap it up for today. Thanks you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Follow the show on all streaming platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on Instagram at The Fantasy Tippler and Twitter at Fantasy Tippler.